Steve Malaxos. Good-looking kick. It's a goal.
The enthusiasm and passion for football, I always knew it was there.
Great goal, Stephen Malaxos.
But it's really powerful. The growth of the club and how it's evolved and developed, it's really hit me since I've started working there. The level it's grown to since we started in those embryonic years.
There is jubilation at the WACA ground. A superb victory.
I first fell in love or discovered football when I was 5 or 6 years of age. Used to go and watch Claremont at Claremont Oval. I lived about a kilometre from the ground, so I'd walk down there and watch them. The 1972 grand final, I was the first one in the gate for the grand final, Claremont East Perth.
What a tense grand final last quarter it's been.
Had a flag, Claremont were favourites to win,
There's the time.
but they lost. And I think my flag must still be at Subiaco Oval because I dumped it. But I started playing when I was 7. I was invited to go and play at Claremont Junior Football Club at College Park. There was only under 12s then, and I became a professional at soccering goals from the goal square. We used to have a chocolate bar for the best player, and I guess I was winning a fair few chocolate bars.
And that's a great mark.
Oh, must be the mark of the day so far.
Back in the late 70s and early 80s when I started playing waffle football, and I looked through a grand final lineup of Claremont versus South Maryland in 1981, which we played, and there were 16 to 20 players who went on to play VFL/AFL.
He's got one already. Have a look at that. Straight through the middle.
So it was a really powerful era. The state football was really strong as well.
Malaxos gets his foot to the ball. Let's go. That is a great goal from the boot of Stephen Malaxos.
Tuesday afternoons in front of a packed house and WA versus Victoria. I think that was a pinnacle of football at Subi Oval representing WA in those games. By 1984, I played in the premiership for Claremont, won the Sandover medal, captained the state. I was named as the All-Australian captain in 1984 when I was 23, so that was a massive year for me. I felt the time was right to go and play in the VFL, and at that time Hawthorn knocked on the door and said we'd like to have a chat.
A shot by Malaxos, and that'll be a goal, a ripper!
I actually broke into Hawthorn when I first went there in 85 and was playing reasonably, not great. This sounds like an excuse, which I terribly don't want it to be like, but I contracted chickenpox, and I didn't know, but I probably had it for a couple of weeks, and I was playing with it, and I felt incredibly fatigued during training, so I thought I'm not fit enough, so I'd go and train more. But when I finally broke out in pretty serious spots and sores, it was pretty evident I had chickenpox, so that really set me back big time, and I never really got going after about the first third of the season. It was probably the first big hit I'd had in football, let alone my life. So I didn't deal with it fantastically, but in retrospect, in life learning, I guess it was a good thing to have get hit between the eyes with a bit of disappointment. You know, I was pretty downbeat about footy, so I headed back to Claremont end of 1985. There had been media articles that a team, obviously we didn't know it was going to be called the West Coast Eagles, and coming into the then VFL competition, and Graham Moss, who was part of the recruiting network in that era, invited 7 or 8 of us into a room at Claremont about middle of 1986 and said, look, this looks like happening.
Provided the public supports them, the Eagles are off and flying.
We started training early November to start our preparations for 87. We came together as a group. We touted as a state team, but that led to expectations which weren't overly accurate. They were a bit too high, so I thought we did pretty well in the first year.
Turning 35 metres out from goal, has put it through.
Straightens up, bang, and it's another one.
The Eagles have won it, and they keep their finals hopes alive. What a superb victory.
Winning the club champion in the first year 35 years ago does fill me with some pride.
Skipper Steve Malaxos got his side off to a good start.
I was named captain in 1990, and I was pretty chuffed by that. The match committee saw someone who was absolutely dedicated, not the best player in the team at that stage, and really determined to do well.
Malaxos, a nail in the coffin perhaps.
We were just embarking on becoming a really powerful team.
Heading from 35 metres out, fine team goal.
Steve Malaxos is another with a point to prove tomorrow after 2 indifferent performances.
Just going to, try and do my best, and what happens, happens.
I played my last game of AFL football was as a captain, and then I never played again. That's a brutal fall from grace. I probably didn't handle it as well as I could have in retrospect. I internalised it, didn't talk to many people about it. Probably took a few years to really get over it. Now, of course I'm at peace with it. It's just one of those things that occur in your life, and you think everything's going to go smoothly, and it doesn't. But it was a really difficult time. I was out of the loop basically when I finished playing there. You think, well, you're never going to get a new job when you're 60. That doesn't happen. But all of a sudden, timing and the place lined up at West Coast Eagles, and they felt that someone a little bit older would add value. Anyone know when the Eagles first made the finals? It's only since I've started working at the club in the last year that it's given me a heightened awareness of how well the club's evolved. Work with the female academy, the Nat Nui, the NGA boys, go to schools. 100% effort.
Puts it high in the air, straight through the middle.
You do that, you'll never have any dramas because you walk off the field knowing I tried my best. You never stop learning and evolving. I work with younger people, and some of the things that they've shown me, I've learnt and benefited from as well. There's a real fanaticism about AFL football and the Eagles in particular, and it's very easy to do your job when people are open to what you're saying and what you're trying to do.